Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Patrick Dang here. Now, some people, they believe that in order to be successful in sales, you have to be a natural born seller. And I remember talking to another person with this, and this person told me that they said, either you got it or you don't. Now, this is kind of hard news for a lot of people because if you don't got it, does that mean that you're not going to be successful in sales? And to be honest, after all the sales experience that I've had and being able to transform my life in different ways, I actually flat out disagree. I do believe that sometimes, depending on your personality and how you grew up, that it might be challenging to become better at sales or even develop people skills. However, I wouldn't say it's impossible. And so for this video, I wanted to do something a little bit different from my typical videos that I normally do, and that is I want to share a little personal story and personal experience to show you why I really strongly feel that anybody can develop their sales skills and their people skills, and hopefully you guys walk away with a little inspiration for yourselves. And it's going to be valuable for anybody who feels like they're not a natural when it comes to sales, or if they're not natural when it comes to just communicating with people. So if you guys are interested in seeing this video, make sure you give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure you hit the notification bell if you want to see more videos like this. Now, a lot of you guys might be surprised about the next thing that I'm gonna say, but when you watch my videos and you see me, selling stuff, or you see me teaching sales, you might think that I am someone who'd be a natural born salesperson. But actually, that is far, far, far from the truth because, back in the day when I was in high school, I would actually categorize myself as someone who would be emotionally unintelligent. To be honest, flat out just saying it, I was actually a loser. I didn't really have the people skills. I wasn't doing good in school in terms of my grades. All I did was play video games. I didn't even exercise that much, and I had a hunchback because I played so many games. And to really give you a perspective on what exactly I was like back then, back in the days, MySpace was very popular, and at the time you can put on your MySpace page who your top friends were. So my top 6 friends, they weren't really even my friends, and I didn't even have the emotional intelligence to understand what's a true friend and what's not really a friend. And I would just put people on there, and they would probably think oh, that's kind of weird that Patrick put me on his top friends list, right? And even when it came to, asking a girl to a school dance, right? I basically at that point, before I made changes in my life, I basically never went to a dance with any girl. And I remember one time I did try to ask a girl, and then I didn't even ask her in person. I think I asked her over AIM, which is, AIM, the instant messenger, which is the Facebook messenger back in the day. I asked her out and she said no, and found out from her friends that it was because she thought I was just a nice guy, and that was literally who I was. One of the things that really hurt me back then was that I never really felt like I was accepted to any group, right? So every day at lunch, I would go out and eat lunch at the same table with the same group of people. And although I was there and they were all friends with each other, I always felt like an outsider, and I, never really talked too much. I kind of just stood there and didn't say anything, and I just was that quiet guy that listened. Fortunately, I guess they let me stand there, but I wasn't really part of the group, and I didn't even know how to do that. So basically my life was go to school, get mediocre grades, not really pay attention, be that quiet guy at lunch, and then come home and play video games for a few hours. And that was pretty much my high school life for the most part. Now, to be completely fair, my life was okay for, global standards, right? I was born in America, a middle-class family, but socially, I was really on the bottom of the totem pole, right? To really share a perspective of how I was thinking back then, basically anything difficult or anything great in life that someone could achieve, I always felt like I was not good enough to get there, whether it's going to a good university or asking a pretty girl out to a school dance or getting a good job and making decent money. I always felt like these things were out of reach, and they were only reserved for people who were better than me. And, not only was I not great with people skills, but I just didn't even believe in myself at the time. So how did I go from this person I'm describing to you now to the person that you see on camera today? So back when I was around 17, 18 years old, I remember, one day late at night, I was thinking, in bed, right? It was maybe 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. And, I think I actually was depressed. I was depressed about the fact that I wasn't doing great at school. Socially, I was incredibly awkward, and I just started realizing how awkward I was at the time. And I felt really frustrated, right? Because I knew who I was on the inside. I knew I was a good person, but how people perceived me was something completely different. I didn't feel like I really belonged in the community. I didn't feel like I connected with people. And these are the things, as human beings, we naturally want. I didn't want my life to end up as this quiet guy who just sat in the corner and played video games. So that night I was crying a lot, and I really did some self-reflecting, and I realized that something had to change, right? And I really believe that pain is one of the most powerful things that can make a positive impact in your life, because I was in so much pain at the time. I just really didn't like my life, that I wanted to do something because I wanted to make that pain go away. So suddenly something clicked. I realized that I had to change. I wasn't really sure what I should do, but I looked at this idea at the time called the Renaissance Man. I don't even know where this came up, but then it was very simple, right? I figured that if I just worked on 3 simple things, which is my mind, body, and soul, that hopefully that framework would allow me to become a better person. And so what does that mean, mind, body, and soul? Well, when it comes to mind, like I said before, I was not getting good grades. I was maybe a C+ student, or maybe B-, like not totally failing, but not doing great either. I wanted to improve my grades and go to a good school and things like that. When it came to body, I was super frail, super skinny, didn't work out. I had terrible posture, and so I wanted to improve that, fix my posture, and exercise at least. And so when it came to soul, how I looked at it at the time was really just connecting with other human beings, because at the time, this was something I was completely terrible at, and I wanted to build a real relationship. So I figured if I work on these 3 things, hopefully my life could change. And looking back, actually making all these big radical changes is quite ambitious if you think about it. But I was actually committed, and I was in such a, desperate situation that I was willing to do anything to get out of it. So what do? Well, every day I would just make these small changes, right? So when it came to my academics, I would, instead of playing video games all the time, I would pay attention in class and actually put in effort. And at the time, just so you guys understand, I was in this program called ESL, English as a Second Language, okay? And basically I was in this group where, they put me in the room to learn English with all these other people who just immigrated into America, right? And the thing was, I was born in America, and English was the only language I knew. So why was I in ESL? That's just to give you an idea of how bad I was at communicating. So again, I just started, making the extra effort, paying attention in class and getting better grades, actually just putting in effort. When it came to my body, tried fixing my posture and really putting the effort to like sit up straight and, do push-ups and sit-ups and things like that. And at the time, it probably weren't the best workouts, but at least it was better than nothing. And when it came to the soul part, which is communicating with other people, every day I would, find the courage to express how I felt, right? I think that was a really big thing. Even though what I say wasn't that great and nobody really cared, at least I did better than the day before. And at least I tried to say something and had the courage, even though I was afraid of what people thought of me. And that basically, created this snowball effect, right? Every day you build these little habits or, tendencies to become a better person, and eventually you get better and better and better. And I remember people would be saying things like, oh, why is Patrick trying so hard? Oh my God, he's being fake. That's not really him. He's a loser, blah, 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 blah. And what I learned from that experience is that people, a lot of times, if you're different from how they first initially met you, they're gonna say that you're being fake and you're not being authentic. But the reality is, I didn't feel like I needed someone to tell me how I should be, because that's something that is my own decision. So whether or not someone feels comfortable if I'm improving and trying to make an effort to better myself, if they don't like it, that's totally fine, because I just gotta keep on going, because that was much better than me being that person who just played video games all the time. Within that first year, a lot of big changes happened in my life, right? So for example, up to this point, I was a senior in high school when I started to make all these changes, right? And before this, I'd never went to a school dance. I never even thought about going to a school dance because girls didn't like me, right? So, I remember one of the first dances of my senior year, instead of not going to a school dance, I really wanted to go. I met another girl at a neighboring school when I did summer school. She was somebody that competed in beauty pageants and things like that. And I actually asked her out, and she said yes. And she actually went to the school dance with me. That was huge boost in my confidence. And it's like, I realized that these things are actually possible. And when it came to my grades, by the end of my senior year, I was averaging like A-, right? And that was going from a C+ B-. I really took it up to the next level. In terms of my body, I started like doing exercising, and I started breakdancing and just becoming a little bit more fit, especially compared to what I was before. So tying this back all together when it comes to, do you have to be a natural salesperson to be great at sales? My answer is no, because from my life, right, even before I even got into selling, me just developing my people skills, developing my physical appearance and my health, and developing my intelligence and my ability to study and get good grades and apply these skills into the real world, I was pretty much at the bottom of the totem pole on all of these elements, right? But over time, because I wasn't a natural at these things, but I worked towards it and eventually became better. Now transitioning into sales, I think in the beginning I wouldn't even say I'm a natural salesperson, right? Because naturally I'm not actually good with people. This is all trained things. So when I got into sales, I basically just trained my way up, right? So I read a lot of books, listened to audio tapes, took sales training and live classes, and got a lot of experience. And I had to grind my way up before I actually got pretty decent. It wasn't as if I just got my sales job and started just blowing it out the water. It was like things I had to put a lot of hours in. Now it's true that some people are wired differently and some people are raised differently when they're younger. So when they are an adult, their behaviors are different, and that can actually lead them to be a lot more natural and better at sales when they're first starting out. I totally get that. However, even if that's the case, and even if you start at a lower point, it does not mean you cannot improve, right? And what is being a natural anyway? That's just how people perceive you when you first start doing something. But if you really work hard at something, you can get to the point where when people look at you, they think you're a natural, but in fact, you probably just trained your way up. And I actually thought about this recently. All the businesses that I could have do or how I can be spending my time, why is it that I am teaching sales skills online and teaching communication skills? And I realized it's the reason is because, I know personally from personal experience that I know what it's like to be at the bottom of the totem pole and not have any people skills and not be able to be persuasive and influential, and how much that can limit your life, right? And so because I learned these skills for myself and I applied it and got some great results, I just want to share these lessons for you guys so that you can take these lessons and apply it to your life, and you see exactly what I'm talking about, that even though you're not born a natural when it comes to people, you can develop these skills, and it's simple and challenging, but it's not impossible. And one last thing I'll leave with you, right? There are always going to be people who will say things like, oh, this person is not a natural, they're never going to be good at XYZ, whether it's sales, being good with people, or maybe it's just something completely unrelated, right? Now, just because from their experiences and the people they know that they feel something is impossible, doesn't mean it's impossible for you. It may be true that it's going to be difficult, but not impossible. So if you're getting into sales or you want to develop yourself in any type of way, my recommendation for you is not to let people tell you what you can and cannot do. Listen to what they're saying. Maybe they got some insights, but I wouldn't, take it as, words written in stone. And the best way to really find out if you can do something is to try it for yourself versus letting someone's words scare you into not putting any effort at all. And plus, even if somebody has more natural ability than you in any type of skill set, it doesn't mean that you can't train and actually become better than the person who is a natural. Sure, maybe if you put in the same amount of effort, that person will get better faster than you. But if they're not willing to put in the work, you can surpass them, and I'm absolutely sure on that. So with that said, I hope you guys learned a little something about myself and got some inspiration on how you can develop your skill sets and not let other people's words deter you from going after for what you want. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like. I know it's something different, but I'm trying something new, right? So give it a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell if you want to see more videos like this. And in the comments, I'm really curious, do you guys enjoy me sharing these type of stories and experiences and tying it into how you can become a better seller? Because if you do, leave it in the comments, let me know, and then I can make more videos like this. Or if you wanted me to make, the regular videos I normally make, let me know there. So with that said, I'm always open to hearing your feedback. My name is Patrick Dang, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next one.